So we're live. Welcome, Peter Kelly from Worcester Warriors. It's Nick Baxter here from Baxter Williams and IsoNation for another instalment of Weekly Wellbeing. Again, like last week's guest, Matt Collingwood, I've been trying to get hold of Peter for a while to join the show. Welcome, Peter Kelly is the MD of Worcester Warriors. Welcome to the show today, Peter.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Nick, and it was good to eventually catch each other. We were playing telephone tennis, to be fair, weren't we? We've
been playing table tennis, and you know what? Most of my clients have been exactly the same. I think most people have said that it's been a resounding yes to. They've been busier than ever. Less income, but busier than ever over the last few weeks, and I suspect you're no exception. Thanks for joining us today, Peter. As I explained previously, we created the Weekly Wellbeing feature to really identify how business leaders are keeping themselves safe and sound and mindful and keeping themselves together through this. And it's actually really good that we've got today's show because it's Mental Health Awareness Week. There's been some amazing posts on LinkedIn and on social media this week. And there's been some really amazing posts and some really honest and some really raw posts from business leaders, which is great. And I think one of the things that's come out of COVID-19 and the corona situation is that people have been laid bare. You know, there isn't that facade anymore of glossing over or painting a different picture. People have been laid bare and they've been really open and honest. And actually, people are more accepting. So mental health, there's been a stigma attached to mental health. It's been reducing and we've been losing that year on year. And I think things around mental health awareness is fantastic to champion organizations, employees and individuals at a crazy time like we're in right now.
Yeah, where do I start, Nick? It's interesting you say about this lockdown affects you in all sorts of ways, doesn't it? But I was talking to someone the other day, and we were both saying the same thing. We started watching The Repair Shop. I don't know whether you've seen that.
I've seen it.
And I become really emotional when I'm watching it, and it's just not like me. You know, I just don't do that stuff. You know, my wife does, but I don't. Yeah. But I've started welling up watching The Repair Shop, for God's sake. You know, so it is interesting how it changes your view. And I mean, the other thing we were talking about the other day was when you meet somebody, when you're out for a walk and you meet somebody, you meet one of your neighbours, whatever it is, and you're trying to stay 2 meters apart, which is quite difficult as a human being because you graduate towards each other. And you say, "How are you?" And I heard this on the telly a few weeks ago, but it's absolutely true. When somebody asks you now, "How are you?" they mean, "How are you? I am interested in how you're getting through this." When you used to say, "Hi, Nick, how's it going, mate?" you'd say, "Yeah, brilliant. How's it going, Pete? Yeah, fine." That was just a hello, wasn't it? This is, "How are you? I care about you and how you're getting through it and interested to see what you're doing." And it's, there's a massive positive changes like that going on, I think, which is quite interesting.
I think the 2 points you made there, the Repair Shop one is definitely because we're accessing different parts of our emotions right now. Normally we're like this. We're normally on an even keel. There are a couple of spikes, there are a couple of drops, but normally we're on an even keel. Right now we've been lowered. And because we've been lowered, we've been having to access different parts of ourselves to kind of put things into perspective and to keep us. And that's made us more emotive because we're you know, everything is affecting us in totally different ways. Yeah. The point you mentioned around saying hi to people, and instead of it just being a greeting, instead of it just being a throwaway comment, people do mean it. And actually people know now, because when you said it to me the other day, you said, "How are you?" I said, "All right, I'm going to give you the real how." And you were like, "Yeah, no worries. I'm used to it now. Everyone's going to go through the same boat." Yeah. And I think that's because we've got a great relationship. We've had a working relationship for a couple of years now. But beyond that, I think even people that have met each other in a relatively short space of time, the connections, you don't need that length of time to connect because people are bonded by a shared experience in general. Yeah. And I think this shared experience has created a whole host of connections and allowing people to really kind of empathize and understand what we're all going through. So in terms of the Mental Health Awareness Week, and I talked about a couple of posts, one of my mates, Stephen Convery, who's a fellow recruiter, put a really nice raw post, and he said, you know, I've been working very hard. I've been run around and I haven't had a great relationship with my kids. And it resonated with me because I'm in the same routine. I'm still in the office 8 till 6. And I've been a little bit grumpy and I've been a little bit stressed out. And, you know, your nearest and dearest, cop it, my wife, my kids. Yeah. And he said what he'd done was he'd taken his daughter to the local common 4:45 in the morning, to watch the sun rise. And he said, we had an amazing conversation on the way there. He said it was the most beautiful experience to share with my daughter who I hadn't seen. We're just passing each other in the house. And on the way back, and he said, since then, like, we've just been really mindful about the relationship and about how we interact with each other. And no one would have been as raw and would have been as honest and open, because we just use LinkedIn as a great way of saying how great things are in our business and how brilliant things are. And you would never have been able to understand what goes on behind the scenes. And you wouldn't have felt comfortable doing it on a platform like LinkedIn. So I think that post really resonated with me. And I suspect, and we'll talk a little bit more on another show about the impact of what's gone on with Corona. But, you know, we know retail's been hit. The rugby club is a massive part of the Worcestershire community. It's a massive part of my life. It has been for the last 30 years. And it's a massive part of the supporters' lives. You know, you don't realise, you probably do coming through this, you don't realise what a massive part it's been. What's been the impact for you as a business? I don't want to go into too much detail. If you give me an overview, I mean, what's been the impact?
Well, listen, first of all, we were very conscious of protecting all the staff. And I know all business leaders say that, but that is really key to us. Well, you haven't got a business or a club without staff and then a community. So staff first, because we can do something about that. So, you know, we furloughed most of our fellows, our workers. We've got 170 and we furloughed 160. But apart from that, it's about, we've really worked hard at keeping in touch with people. And I think we talked the other day about this. You know, you don't realize what people go through sitting in a house. We don't know what environment they're in. We don't really know who they're living with, whether their partners are working, aren't working, what the kids are doing. We don't know any of that really when you're stuck away in a house, because you don't know what goes on behind closed doors. So we set up. Obviously, we all discovered the lovely Zoom. And the one thing that frustrates me to death at the minute is technology, by the way. Brilliant though it is, because as Nick knows, we've just taken 10 minutes to set this up with sound and vision and God knows what. But we all discovered Zoom, and we just made sure we put regular Zoom meetings in. You know, not with everybody. Obviously, I speak to the people who report to me, and the department heads did that, and then we got together. We're seeing the players later on. And it's really just keeping in touch. Yes, communication is important. So one, you've got to let people know they're not on their own, they're still in a business. And I think communication's absolutely key to say, yeah, they're still there, people are still working, the club still exists, this is what we're doing. So we've communicated quite a lot internally, especially just to keep people, you know, involved, because that's the big thing, I think. And then we've been through our HR, you obviously get to find out in your community, in the people who work for you, who are a little bit either living on their own, or they're a little bit more susceptible, if you like, to the mental side of things. And then so we've been keeping, you know, talking to them more regularly, making sure they're all right. But it's tough. I mean, you know, going on to how I'm coping with this, I'm a very positive guy normally and very structured, and I've had to get a routine. And, you know, my poor family have had to live that routine. And I've got a gorgeous wife who went back to work. She's gardening, so that's good. So I've got Excellent. 2 boys. We're all in a routine about getting in the morning, doing our work, all that sort of stuff. And then I'll tell you what I do. I get them out for a walk. We live in the country. We're very lucky. Blimey, it's no big hardship. But as we've got, I'll just tell you a quick story. We've got a post box, quite a large post box on the gate at the front. And some time ago, when this first started, there was letters in there, and then there was some moss on it. So I chucked the moss out, got the letters out. Next day, there's a load more moss in. And I'm a bit of a bird lover, right? So I thought, oh, that's interesting. So anyway, great tit, built the biggest nest you've ever seen. It's that thick, right, in this box. Far too big for that nest. And there's 8 chicks in there, and they're just about to fledge now. And we've been watching. So every time we go out, every day we go out, you can lift the lid, and you can actually see these little birds come out, and it just started the nature thing, you know, discussion. And I think that's what a lot of neighbours that we meet, they don't know. You know, we live in a beautiful countryside, and half of us don't go out walking because we're too bloody busy, Nick. We're too busy. And it's ridiculous. And I'll tell you what, the one thing I hope, I know I can talk now as much as you, but the one thing I really hope going forward is we all just slow down a bit. For God's sake, we're all in a bloody rush. It doesn't mean you have to be less effective. You can still get stuff done. You just don't need to rush around all day long doing stuff, cramming, because that's when you miss your family and you miss the people closest to you, because you don't sit and talk. And we've done a lot more of that, which is really good. So.
A couple of things you mentioned there. First thing you mentioned is, and amazing, I'm going to talk about all of those. The first thing you mentioned, very honest, thank you, Peter. The first thing you mentioned was I need structure, you know, and because we're in a new routine now, everyone's in a different routine. Everyone's working from home. You're working in the same place you're living. You need a routine. You need some boundaries. I think we talked in a couple of features before that no one gets embarrassed now. You said, listen, my boys are probably going to walk straight past me. Those days are gone now for anyone to be. But yeah, no one no longer gets embarrassed by that. The other point you mentioned was what you're doing to kind of keep yourself in the right space. Everyone's talking about getting outside and out and about. Everyone's talking about getting some fresh air. Everyone's talking about reconnecting with nature. So without sounding too spiritual and too airy, we aren't connected with nature and we aren't connected with the outdoors. You live in a beautiful part of the world. I live 10 minutes from the Malvern Hills, but we're so busy trying to provide a lifestyle for our families, we don't actually do that. So we normally talk towards the end of the program. That's one of the good things that comes out of it. So I'm going to hold fire on the point you made there, because I think that is one of the good things that will come out of it, because loss of life, business disruption has been devastating, and the effects of the economy longer term, you know, we'll see how bad that will be, but it's going to be difficult and it's going to be tough for a while. But I don't want to focus on the negatives. What I want to focus is on the great stuff. The fact that you now got those chicks. I want to see some photos. You want to be posting those photos?
No, I do. I'll send you some. Send those. Move on, because they're going to fledge today.
Because they're going to fledge real soon. And so in terms of, and the thing you mentioned before around the mental health of your staff, it's really important. Normally, we are interested in the mental health of our staff, but we're more interested in the mental health of our staff and how they're performing in the work environment, how that's affecting them. It's not really our place to be involved in what's going on behind the scenes at home. And I think that connection, I'm speaking to lots of business leaders that have established that some people are quite vulnerable and they've been in some vulnerable situations at home. That actually has connected people with their staff even better. And my other business, which is an employee engagement business, as you well know, any organisation that's been doing what you're doing right now, that's been really caring for their staff, that's been really looking after their staff and been really looking out for them, not selfishly because of your business, but selflessly because you care about them, that's a team you want when we come through this. And regardless of how tough it's going to be, those people, you'll get so much equity and goodwill from them realising that they're at an employer of choice and an employer that really cares. So before, because I know you're the same as me, and this is supposed to be a 15-minute feature, what I want to do is, I always like to round the chats off around good news. I don't want to, it's not a political debate, and the news that's out there at the moment, we do need to be informed on what's going on, but I do think there's a tendency, as is normally within media, to focus on the negatives. And actually, we know it's a challenging situation. We know there are some negatives in the ether, but actually concentrating on the most positive things is the only way you can control stuff. And obviously, you know, I'm an ex-pro rugby player, you run a pro rugby environment. We can only control the controllables. From on the park and off the park, you can only control what's in front of you. So that's what I really want to focus on. I think all business leaders at the moment are focusing around agility, are focusing around cutting costs and looking after their people and making sure they've got a lean business that can navigate the changing landscape. But beyond that, I want to focus on some good news stories. And I know that Worcester Rugby Club has been synonymous with hundreds of good news initiatives and stories throughout the Worcester community and beyond for a while. But based on the back of COVID, I know there have been two great things that I'd like you to elaborate on. First of all, there was the food that you've donated to key workers, and secondly, I understand it's an NHS testing centre now. So tell us a little bit about those. You know, you're not able to put the rugby on at the moment. There's your son. You're not able to do what you normally do.
Teenager, 10's pretty early for him.
Hey, listen, that's right.
But he does his work. He does his work. So
exactly.
So let's talk about those two things. Yeah, so the NHS first. I mean, the NHS rang us and the government together, because they're working with the MOD actually, which was brilliant. They rang us on a Thursday and said, can we use your car park for a COVID-19 testing station? Mm-hmm. And of course, the owners and I said, yes, of course you can. Absolutely anything to help. Well, we're not using it for anything. Believe it or not, that was Thursday. And on the Tuesday, it was set up fully to test. It was unbelievable. And that's when the MOD get involved, because they're good at that sort of stuff, aren't they? Planning, as you well know. So, you know, they set that up, and that's great. And it's been fantastic. And we've tested thousands and thousands of people through there, because, you know, it's a great place to drive to, because it's just off the motorway. So that's still there. That's working very well. And the other thing, we did several other things. We've had players ringing vulnerable people up, players ringing kids up to wish them happy birthday, all that sort of stuff, because the players are bored as we are, so that's good. A lot of training hard. And then some of the guys in the office decided, we've been monitoring the drink sell-by dates and the food sell-by dates.
Yeah.
So as time went on, we thought, we're not getting anywhere near here. So what are we going to do with it? So I didn't. The guys did. I just asked my permission to do it. But they went in, proper social distancing, put them into packages, and we've driven all around Worcestershire, giving these food packages out to vulnerable people and NHS staff and hospices and all that sort of stuff. And it's a really wonderful thing to do. We've got pictures and some films of it, but and when I spoke to the people who did it, because I'm thanking them, obviously, they said it's the best thing. I mean, for mental well-being, passing a food parcel to somebody and seeing the joy and thankfulness that they have is just worth everything. And they loved every minute of it. In fact, they were really hoping we'd have more out-of-date stuff. But well, if it carries on much longer, we will. But, yeah. So no, it's all good stuff. That is fantastic. And did you get the players to deliver some of that stuff as well? Yeah. No, the players. Listen, what the players are like, Nick. They'll do anything we ask, and they do lots of stuff behind the scenes we don't know about, actually, which is always good. So the players are well up for it. But they're in good form. I've got a call with them later on, but they are really fit at the minute. They've been keeping fit at home and in the parks and on some of our fields, as long as there's only 2 at a time and they don't mix blah blah blah. They've got some gym equipment at home, so it's all safe stuff because they've got to be safe. But they're fit, but they're dying to get back, as we all are. Can you imagine? This is what keeps us. This is the well-being, mental well-being. I envisage, if I feel a bit down, I envisage being at Six Ways with a full crowd, watching the boys. That's what I've got to focus on. That's what it's about. Your positive thought is the same as my positive thought. I'm the same. When I'm down, I'm thinking, I can just imagine the box with loads of clients and loads of our guys in the team watching and I don't even care about the result. I just want to be out. I just want to be out and about. And you're right. I do know what the players are like. Those players do lots of stuff, and the great thing, sports people always get a bit of a hit. Rugby, not so much because they're not quite the dizzy heights of football. Those guys are in the community. I've seen those guys that when they've got days off, they're in schools. I took Chris Pennell across to little Oliver Wattis. When he was poor, they do all of that stuff behind the scenes, which is great. And we've got a couple of people because I get to see a feed of all the people that. Hi Rachel, hi Matt, hi Dow. Rob Sigley's asked, how am I getting on without hugging people? That has been that. Right, joking apart, I've really struggled. My family have got broken ribs because every hug that everyone else would be getting daily, my family getting every single hug from me. I'm missing that. We are. Everyone's missing intimacy. Everyone's missing hugs, and everyone's missing high fives. Hi Christian. Hi Mike. Good to see you again, buddy. And then Paul Turner's put, have I had a haircut? Seriously, does that look? What have you done? Yours doesn't look too bad, Pete. Look at that. My wife cut my hair the other day, and then she practiced on me, and then did the 2 boys. And that's why I've got headphones on. It's a bit weird. You were the Kelly guinea pig on. Nice, isn't it? Yeah. Rob Sigley's put 90s flat top. I've got a 90. It does look like a 90s flat top. Listen, Peter. What I wanted to say was a massive thank you for taking the time out to come and speak with us. I know that the season tickets have gone on sale for next season, which is great news. We don't know what's going to happen. I'm not even going to quiz you about what's going to happen because we'll all know when we do know. Speculation doesn't do anything at the moment. But what we do know is you're keeping in contact with everyone. You're keeping in contact with the fans. You're keeping in contact with the community, and you're certainly making a difference. Thank you from myself and all at IsoNation for the continued support from Worcester Warriors to the community, and more importantly, key workers through this challenging time. And I look forward to catching up with you at the rugby club over a cold beer very soon, buddy. Oh, so do I, Nick. Thanks very much. Really good fun. All right, nice one, Peter. Cheers, buddy. We catch up soon. Cheers, man. Okay, bye-bye.